Morning glory and evening grace, America. I'm Hugh Hewitt. Welcome. Great to have you today. You know, the political map never sleeps, and indeed the 2026 cycle has begun. And the very first senatorial candidate I've had on, who is up in 2026, is today's guest, Senator Scott Brown. Senator Brown is in New Hampshire, where he wants to run the Granite State, where he wants to go to the Granite State and represent the Granite State in Washington. Hello, Senator. Welcome back to the Hugh Hewitt Show.
It's great to be on, and good evening to everybody.
You know, I only usually see you when we're in boxes opposite each other on Fox News, so this is more fun. I get to control the questions. Tell me about your decision to run again. You know what's involved. You know you got to raise money around the clock from now until whenever the election in November of 2026. Why do it again?
Well, as you know, I served as President Trump's ambassador to New Zealand, Cook, Niue, Samoa, and our interest in Antarctica. When I came back, it was a completely different country. I'm from New Hampshire, born at the Portsmouth Naval Shipyard, and was honored to serve, obviously, in Massachusetts, and obviously honored to serve as an ambassador. But in New Hampshire, we have Kelly Ayotte, former senator, now governor, a Republican Senate, House, and Executive Council. But we have four kind of knuckleheads that are representing us in the federal delegation that are completely out of touch with the New Hampshire advantage and the things that we actually know and love. That New Hampshire advantage is being attacked all the time. Higher taxes, more regulations, the men and boys and women and girls sports, open borders, sanctuary cities, defending these criminal gangbangers who want to basically hurt and kill our citizens. It's just not right. I had to get off the sidelines, Hugh, because I can't stand it. And to think that the kid, Chris Pappas, who makes AOC look like Rush Limbaugh, wants to get a promotion, really turns my stomach. So I'm back in the game. It's going exceedingly well.
Let's tell people about the website a few times. It's just scottbrown.com. Am I right about that? Yes, scottbrown.com?
Very complicated. Scottbrown.com. You can obviously donate, and you can go up to $12,000 if you want. We have a lot of people doing just that. We've raised an incredible amount of money, more than I did, obviously, when we shook the world and took back the seat that was governed by Senator Kennedy for almost 50 years. So, yeah, it's been great.
I think there are legitimately two pickups opportunities for the Republicans, New Hampshire and Michigan. Some people say Minnesota. We'll see. It depends on, that's like our Hail Mary. But New Hampshire really ought to have a Republican senator. It did forever, did it? It always had 1 and 1.
Oh, yeah. Listen, I always had either 1 and 1 or Judd Gregg, Kelly Ayotte. I mean, you go on and on and on. Bob Smith, obviously. But here's the issue. I think actually with North Carolina and Georgia now potentially being kind of up for grabs, maybe, that this could be the seat that decides to control the Senate. And just picture this. We lose the House, and then you lose the Senate. The lawfare against President Trump, his family, his cabinet is going to be off the charts, and everything that he's working for right now will be reversed.
Yeah, I think maybe Georgia can go in that column. They need a candidate first. I'm glad you stepped forward because you need a candidate before you can even think about flipping a seat. So, Chris Pappas, I don't know anything about him other than he's left-winger. What's his background, and will you intend to debate him early and often, as is the New Hampshire tradition?
Yeah, listen, I've already challenged him. I'll challenge him right here, right now. I'll debate him tomorrow, anytime, anywhere. This is a guy who actually owns a restaurant. He voted against the no tax on tips, no tax on overtime. So how does he tell his employees that? And then also the Bluebird special folks, how do you say, I'm not going to give you a break on your Social Security? He is the person who's doubled down on the men and boys and women and girls sports. He has not stood up for our ICE and law enforcement officials. He does not support qualified immunity for those people. When President Trump boldly, I thought, went and did what he did in Iran, he said he was going to take those actions under advisement. And he didn't even commend our men and women who pulled off this. I thought I was reading like a Clancy novel, a Brad Thor novel. It's like unbelievable. And he couldn't even talk about that and commend them. Listen, we're two different people. As you know, I've run 21 times. I'm 19 and 2. I'm 65 years old. I have 4 grandchildren. Assessor, selectman, state rep, state senator, U.S. ambassador, almost 40 years in the military. And I tell you what, you want to compare resumes, let's do it. But he is absolutely just wrong on every single issue. And that's what I'm going to debate him about, period. It's pretty simple.
Where did he come from? I'm always curious about the backstory for a left-wing congressman.
Listen, his family owns a restaurant here in Manchester. Nice guy, but he's just out of touch with the values of New Hampshire. I consider him like a floater, a backbencher, where he doesn't take a stand on really anything, comes back and portrays himself as a moderate, which he's not. and kind of floats through. He was I think it was a city council, then a state rep, and then he got a promotion, and he wants another promotion. And I'm going to do my best with your viewers and listeners' help to do that, so they can go. Here we go to scottbrown.com and help. And listen, if all your viewers, I know how many viewers you had, if they donated $1, we're talking about some massive amounts of money. So let's go.
Yeah, and the people in your car, just remember Scott Brown with 2 T's, scottbrown.com. Most of my audience is in their car driving home, Senator, so we want to do that. I want to throw a quick New Zealand question at you. They've had a succession of odd governments. I'm not sure. Are they still in Five Eyes? Are they still with us 100% of the time? Because they've had some pretty wacky left-wingers over there.
Yeah, listen, one of the greatest honors of my life was going over there and enhancing that military relationship. Right now, they have a right of center. Winston Peters, who is the foreign minister there, and Chris and Luxon, who's the prime minister there, doing a great job bringing it back to the center right. They do a valuable. They play a valuable role in that relationship because they get into countries that we don't. They have a relationship with like Iran and other countries that we really don't. So yes, they gather and they do their part. They I think actually do more heavy lifting than their size. 5 million people, 25 million sheep. But when I was there, we enhanced obviously a whole host of things. Military cooperation, helped them work on purchasing more equipment and ships and the like. It was a wonderful people, wonderful experience. And yes, I encourage them to stay there. And yeah, that's the government. It's one of those MMP governments, back and forth. But it was an honor.
I've always told my wife, with whom I've been married for 43 years, when I retire from this gig, we're going to New Zealand for 5 weeks, 6 weeks, 7 weeks, because it's the place I haven't been that I want to be the most. Now, let me come close to home. There was the One Big Beautiful Bill. It had $158 billion for defense. A lot of that's going to go to Portsmouth, New Hampshire. Did Chris Pappas vote against that?
Yeah, he did. And so did every other Democrat. And, the funny thing about it is, was it a perfect bill? No, but that's the only bill that was there. And here's the issue. He's focusing on Medicaid cuts. Well, just like Bill Clinton, I want people who are able-bodied basically to get off it, hopefully, but more importantly, at least work 4 hours a week, volunteer, do whatever. And I don't want anybody who's not supposed to be there, but every single person, Hugh, that needs it, who they are. We know people like that. They should absolutely get it. But if you do nothing, he didn't just say nothing. He said, no, hell no. That program's not going to be around if you do nothing. It's not sustainable what they're doing right now. And my biggest concern right now is our debt and deficit, because when I was down there, it was $9 trillion national debt. You know what it is now. So the clawbacks and all those things that they're doing, my first priority is to find mechanisms to save us money, hopefully lower our interest rates so we can refinance that debt. There's so many things. Rand Paul, I think, has some great ideas. I want to connect with him again and try to figure out how do we get this, how do we reel this and put this genie back into the bottle. Hopefully exporting energy and unleashing that and creating more jobs and doing other things will help. But it's going to be tough, and we need some people who basically are fiscal conservatives up there, which I am.
The New Hampshire advantage is no taxes. The New Hampshire advantage is live free or die. The New Hampshire advantage now includes education choice. I don't understand why they have 2 very liberal senators, except I did see, up here in Maine, we get commercials around the clock from New Hampshire because they want to hit the TV market in northern New Hampshire. They want to hit Portsmouth, so they advertise in Portland, which goes all the way up north. I'm just curious, what does he run on? Does he run on being a left-winger? Because it's not a left-wing state.
Well, as you know, when I ran against Gene, I won CD1. I won the area where he represents. And I underperformed in CD2, so we're spending a ton of time up there. He's never run statewide. I did. I barely lost to Gene, as you know, by like 15,000 votes out of almost 600,000, and she's not walking through that door. What does he run on? He runs on, basically hating President Trump and everything he does, basically tying me to, being this hardcore, right-wing person, doesn't like people on Medicaid, doesn't like Social Security, doesn't like SNAP. Listen, my mom was on welfare. I got those blocks of cheese, the powdered milk, and the big blocks of butter. Okay, they're there for people that need it. But can't we have the agriculture department maybe find a way to make our food healthier and find better and cheaper ways to do it? Because it's administered through the governor, and I want to make sure I can help her. What is he going to do? Just keep complaining? Did he go to, like, on the Medicaid, did he go to Kennedy? Did he go to, obviously, Speaker Johnson? Did he go to the president and say, sir, I need help on this issue? It's not working. No. And you remember, when I went and I was there, my insider trading bill, President Obama was walking up the dais in the State of the Union. I said, sir, my insider trading bill is up there. It's ready to pop. I need your help. He said, okay. That's what you do. You roll up your sleeves and you get the job done.
You work across the aisle. Scott Brown, keep coming back. Remember, everyone in your car, scottbrown.com, 2T, scottbrown.com. Get in the game early. Newt Gingrich rightly says $1 raised in 2025 is worth $5 raised in 2026. So be among the first to support Scott Brown. Senator, we'll see you early and often on either Fox or right back here on the Salem News Channel, Salem Radio Network. Stay tuned, America.